What's going on, guys? It's John here from RPO Bay Hockey to predict the 2019-2020 opening night lineup for the Chicago Blackhawks. So, you're seeing the jersey, but that jersey behind me, the Stanley Cup champs. I'm not trying to piss off Blackhawks fans, but looking forward, well, also looking past, the Blackhawks 3 Stanley Cup wins with the core of Toews, Kane, Seabrook, Keith. Those guys. Keith, Seabrook, obviously they're past their prime. They're not the players they once were, but Toews and Kane still can provide a lot. And if you're looking at the St. Louis Blues, they had a lot of patience. And the Chicago Blackhawks really haven't had to go through a lot of struggle. And I feel like if we're going to look at this forward group right now, we're going to look at this roster, I do think they have a lot of potential to get back into the playoffs and make something happen. Yes, they still have some holes, and they've made a couple dumb moves in the opinions of many. But I'm going to go over what they can do this season, the forward group, defense group, goalies, power play, penalty kill, all of that. So let's get right into the forward group to start. Sekera, Toews, Kane. I love that top line. Dylan Sekera is a guy we saw in the top 6 a lot last year. If he plays with 2 guys in Jonathan Toews and Patrick Kane, you could find him having a lot of success, a lot of confidence. Yes, Toews and Kane don't play together a lot, but to start the year, get those 2 together, have a better start to your year so you can maintain a playoff spot. And then your next duo on that second line, Strome and DeBrincat. So you have 2 very solid duos on your top 2 lines. And then Brandon Saad could play on that first or second line. I have him with Strome and DeBrincat, getting him a little bit of a change of scenery. And then the third line, Perlini, who they acquired along with Strome from the Coyotes. He had a really good year last year, putting up some goals as well. Anisimov, who usually plays with Patrick Kane. And then on the right, Andrew Shaw, getting your Hawks identity back, reacquiring Shaw from the Canadiens. He could play on that third line. And you traded away Hayden for Quenneville. I have Quenneville as an extra. Shaw will provide a lot what Hayden provided, that physicality, but he can put up points. He proved that last year with the Canadiens. And the $3.9 million cap hit, I know Hawks fans were a little timid on that, but it's not horrible to have on your third line. And then Drake Caggiula, former Edmonton Oiler, Kampf, and Ryan Carpenter, who they signed through free agency. And then Kubalik, who they acquired from the LA Kings in exchange for a 5th-round pick. They signed him, and he's going to get an opportunity to crack this lineup. I have him as an extra right now, but injuries could happen. Maybe he fills in on that 4th line, maybe in the top 6, depending on how Sekera does in training camp. So I love this forward group. I really do. If you guys are here, by the way, before I get in the defense group, please subscribe to the channel. Drop a like. Every like does count. Every like gets these videos out more to everyone on YouTube, and we want to grow this channel, of course. So if I'm just talking about the Blackhawks, and I'm talking about the power play, talking about the penalty kill, they have the pieces. They have the pieces to make the playoffs. A guy like Andrew Shaw can play on the penalty kill. We've seen Jonathan Toews power play and penalty kill. They have some bigger bodies now, whether it's a guy like Ryan Carpenter, who obviously super underrated. He can throw the body around as well, and he can play a good role in that bottom line. Drake Caggiula is another guy that we've seen play higher in the lineup. They might have him on the 4th line. And then Kubalik, Quenneville, all guys trying to prove themselves. And that's what I like about the Blackhawks this year. They have, on paper, a really solid top 6. If Strome and DeBrincat can continue what they did last year, Toews and Kane can continue their momentum from last year, and a guy like Brandon Saad, if he can find himself. If I'm looking at the 2 guys in that forward group that potentially still could be traded, it would be Brandon Saad and Artem Anisimov. Anisimov, who found success early when he was acquired by the Blackhawks, he found success with Patrick Kane. And not so much last year. He struggled a bit, but he still could be a very solid third-line center, and he could center Andrew Shaw and center another guy like Perlini. So I like where the Blackhawks are going. They have guys in their bottom 6 trying to prove themselves. They have a very solid top 6, and they still have a decent defense group. They made some weird additions. I don't think people were happy with them trading Dominic Cahoon. I don't think people were happy at all with them trading Yoki Haru. But let's look at their defense group and talk about it. So Keith and DeHaan. DeHaan, they acquired from the Hurricanes, and they lost, obviously, I think maybe some speed and some versatility with a guy like Yoki Haru, but they probably got more solid in the defensive zone. So they got a guy like DeHaan, and you see a guy like DeHaan, he blocks shots, he complements his defense partner. I think a guy like Duncan Keith, he has slowed down, but having a defense partner in DeHaan, we've seen him partnered up with Seabrook, but maybe that partnership doesn't work out going into the future. Obviously, that Seabrook contract is really harsh. 5 years left. Olli Maatta, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily count that as the second pairing, but Olli Maatta and Connor Murphy. Murphy could be a guy that helps out Olli Maatta. Murphy, another one that's not going to give you some presence in the offensive zone, but he's a right-handed defenseman. He's fairly solid in the defensive zone, and I think he could help Olli Maatta, and then Gustafsson and Seabrook on your bottom pair, and Slater Cuckoo there as your seventh defenseman. I don't mind the defense group for the Blackhawks. Again, Keith Seabrook, they're older. Olli Maatta struggled. DeHaan, I feel like, has been solid. He's not a point producer, though. Neither is Connor Murphy. So, really, the one problem I see in the Blackhawks is the offensive production they're going to get from the back end. I really don't know if they're going to get that offensive production at all. I think you're really relying on Duncan Keith to do most of that, and I don't know if that's the most solid thing to do. Gustafsson's another guy that we've seen have some power play time, but that also is concerning that he would be your number two in terms of offensive defenseman. And then you have Corey Crawford and Robin Lehner. I think Crawford still deserves that respect to start. We'll see what happens after the first few games, but I think Lehner's going to get quite a few games. He's going to want to prove himself. He's on that 1 year, $5 million contract. It is something to consider. Crawford, Lehner, they're both going to be UFAs after this year. So I like what the Blackhawks are doing. I like the direction they have. Crawford and Lehner, that should be a very good duo in net. But again, like I said, that defense is just more concerning on how they're going to break out, how they're going to produce some offense from the back end. That's my concern for them. If Duncan Keith can have a presence in the power play and maybe pick it up a little better from last year, then that's something to keep your eye out. But man, that Yoki Haru trade, I think that's a big loss for a guy that you probably need quite a bit going forward in your presence for your defense. So that's my prediction for my opening night lineup for the Chicago Blackhawks. Let me know the changes you'd make. Let me know what you think about the channel. Any suggestions you want to make, I'm all ears. Thanks for all the support. More videos, more lineup predictions to come. So definitely subscribe, drop a like, comment your thoughts below. And this was John from RPO Bay Adelaide. Have a good one. Peace out.